Hello friends, welcome back. Welcome to the OBI apps installation part 3. So in this recording we will see how to install Oracle VirtualBox and how to create the initial setup for installing Linux 64-bit on top of that. So here's what we are going to do. So first we are going to download latest Oracle VirtualBox from the Oracle VirtualBox website. So go to Google and Google for Oracle VirtualBox, download. So go to the second link here which says Oracle VM VirtualBox. Go to the download section in the left hand side, and here you will find for various hosts. So we're going to install VirtualBox on top of Windows host. So I'm going to download the first one here. Okay, so it's around 106 MB, so it's going to take a little time. So meanwhile, let me explain you what is that VirtualBox actually is. So you might have heard the term VM frequently in the IT. So VirtualBox is kind of virtualization software which sits on top of your operating system. So as I said, we are going to install Linux inside this VirtualBox. So VirtualBox is kind of a package software which allows us to create another machine inside our laptop. Okay, so currently I am running Windows 8.1. so inside this I am going to create another operating system, Linux, and install the whole OBIA stack inside the Linux. So the software which allows you to do this particular setup is your Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, so it's a virtualization technology which is offered by Oracle. Okay, so looks like it's going to take a little time, so give me a minute here. Okay, hello friends, welcome back. So I have downloaded the VirtualBox software here. Okay, so let's go ahead and install this. So this is the one. So always right click on it and do run as administrator. Yes. So click on next and choose the location where you want to install this software. So next. So this gives a warning, say, because it installs a new network adapter which is related to Oracle VirtualBox. So temporarily you may face the disconnection of network. So that's what it says. Okay, click on yes and then install. Okay, so it's done installing. Click on finish. Okay, so I got all of these, but initially when you install on your machine you will not be having any of these entries. Okay, so the reason why it appeared for me is I was already having the PDIs installed already, so that's why it showed up in the list. Okay, so after you install and open Oracle VirtualBox, so this is the screen that you will be getting. Okay, so the next step that we are going to do is to reserve the space for our Linux operating system installation. So then make sure that you have sufficient disk space available. So if you are going to install OBI apps, then make sure you at least give it a space of 200 GB on your hard drive. If you are only doing till OBI for your practice purpose, I think 50 GB is more than sufficient. Okay, the reason I asked for 200 GB is we are going to place all our installables inside our Linux machine, which means we copy all our software into the Linux machine, which is of approximately, how much is it? So it is approximately 23 GB. Plus we are going to do sample load from a Vision EPS instance into our OBI apps data warehouse. So that also the database will rapidly increase because it's going to load all the data from your Vision EVS instance into your OBAW. Okay, so that's the reason I have asked for 200 GB. So, okay, so let's go ahead and start create a new virtual machine. You can do that by clicking on new. So it will ask for the name of the virtual machine. So you can basically give it any name. So and I give it Oracle BI apps. You see it recognizes once I give it Oracle, it does show the type as Linux. Okay, so Linux is the one which we are going to install, and it's going to be 64-bit. Okay, take care here, it should not be Oracle 32-bit, and for some machines some of you might face an issue like this Oracle 64-bit might not show up in your list. Okay, so the reason for that is so all that your Oracle virtual VM VirtualBox does is virtualization. Okay, so there is a setting in your BIOS of your laptop wherever you are installing. So there is a setting called virtualization. So this should be enabled in your BIOS. Only then you will be able to see this Oracle 64-bit, which we definitely need to proceed further. Okay, so in case if this doesn't show up in your list, just enable the virtualization option in your BIOS. So here are some screenshots, I just googled it up. So you can go to BIOS and under system configuration the virtualization technology can be enabled here, and then restart your machine and try it again. You should be able to see your Oracle 64-bit option here. Okay, so the next thing here is the memory size which you want to allocate. So this again depends on your system configuration. You can give half of your RAM that is available on your machine. So suppose you have say 8 GB of RAM, you can allocate 4, or you can even allocate 6 GB of RAM. It's only that your original laptop will run with 2 GB of RAM if you give 6 GB of RAM to this virtual box. So it will be a little slower. So the more amount of RAM you have, the more amount of RAM you can allocate to your virtual machine. So my machine is a 16 GB machine, so I'm going to allocate 8 GB for it. So a quick math. So 8 multiplied with 1024 gives me 8192. So I'm giving 8 GB of RAM to my virtual machine. Okay, so create virtual hard drive now. Yes, that's the option. Click on create. So beware of this file location. Make sure this doesn't show a path here, but you should make sure you place that file in the drive which you have space. So I have only one drive here, C drive. So I'm planning to keep my base image which holds the Linux operating system inside my C drive and inside VM. Okay, So you can see here Oracle BIS.VDI. So this is the image file which inside which your operating system and everything what we are going to do further will get stored inside your Windows laptop. Okay, so this file is very important, and make sure you place this file in a location where you have abundant space to hold it. Okay, suppose you have D drive or something, so make sure your drive has enough space to hold this VDI file, otherwise we will be facing problems, storage issues when we do the installation. Okay, so I click on save, so I can see the path comes up here, and the amount of, this is the option which tells you the amount of hard drive space that you want to allocate. So I'm giving 200 GB here. Okay, hard drive file type is VDI, and I want it to be fixed size. Okay, so click on create. Okay, so this will be creating a soft partition on your hard drive. Okay, it's not going to impact anything to your Windows operating system. It's just going to reserve the space and create this Oracle BI apps.vdi file with 200 GB memory. Okay, so this will act as the independent hard drive for your Linux installation. So this will take certain amount of time, with 1 hour depending upon your processor and RAM availability. Okay, so yeah, so let it complete. So we will discuss about this again. Okay, hello friends, so welcome back. So after completing the creation of the partition, so we'll be going back to this screen. So you can see the VDI file that has been created under the location that you have specified. Okay, and let's go check it in C drive VM. Yeah, see this, so this has been created and the approximate size of it is 209. Okay, 200 GB what we have given to it, right? So after that, another possible configuration that can help you to improve the performance of your virtual machine is that by allocating the processors to it. You click on settings and go to system, you will find the processor tab. So I can see that so my laptop is a quad core processor, so it has 8 multi-threaded CPUs in it, so I can assign half of them. So you might see a different number here, so make sure you keep it to, you assign exactly half of the CPUs that you have. Okay, this will help you to run your operating system and the other software on your Linux operating system pretty quick. Okay, so that's the thing. So we have created a partition for installing Linux inside the virtual machine. So the next step what we're going to do is to load the operating system ISF file in order to install the Linux operating system. So the way we do it is, so we have already downloaded the Oracle Enterprise Linux and we have kept it in the Linux folder. So this is the ISO file. Okay, so we should go to settings, storage, and see the primary IDE controller here. It's empty as of now, so click on this DVD disk icon and choose the file. So go to the location where you have stored your ISO file and click on it and open. Okay, so that's it. We have loaded the operating system disk and now we need to install the Linux operating system. To do that, click on start. Clicking on start will initialize the virtual machine environment. So it's going to identify the boot ISO file. So we got the screen of welcome to Oracle Linux Server 6.5, and the thing we need to do is to install, right? So click on enter, make sure the first option is selected. So I would maximize the screen. Okay, so it says to begin testing the media before. So it says the media here means the ISO file that you have given to it for Linux installation. So the setup wants to test if all the ISO file contents are intact. So there's no problem, just click on OK to test the ISO file. Test, click on test, or rather hit enter. So this will check the integrity of your ISO file in case if the ISO file is corrupted when you are doing your downloads. So this check can identify and let you know if the ISO file can be used to install Linux operating system, or else if you find some problems in the disk check, you will need to download the Linux ISO file again from edelivery.oracle.com. Please refer to my earlier videos to find the location where we can download the Linux Oracle Enterprise Linux. Okay, so you can see this is just a half or 1/4 of the screen that we are having here. So you can switch to the scale mode. The way you can do that is go to view and switch to scale mode. Okay, so with this you will get the entire screen. Now try maximize it, you will have the entire screen. So it says, the message says the image was just tested and was successfully verified. Okay, click on OK now. So the process automatically ejects the disk. So now it again returns to the test screen. Now do not enter the test, but click the right arrow and click on continue. Okay, so for now just close. The Linux disk was not found, click OK to retry. So since it was ejected, so the virtual machine is unable to find the disk media. So just close it, shut down, or say power off the machine, click OK. So this will power off your machine. Now go to settings again, storage, you can see this is empty. So now again choose the ISO file, click on OK and start. So the first option again, install. Okay, is again asking us to test, but this time don't hit OK. Click on the right arrow and click on skip. So now it has detected the ISO file and the bootable image inside the ISO file. So welcome to Oracle Linux installation. So another point about the mouse pointer here. So the mouse that you are seeing here is the Windows mouse. Now once you double click on this screen, the black mouse here takes its place. So this mouse is only active inside your virtual machine. You can't get out. if you want to go to your Windows machine back. Okay, so how you do that, how you get out of it? By hitting Control C. I mean, there are two controls on your keyboard, control keys on your keyboard, left and right. So click on right control plus the C button. So this will get your cursor back again, and whenever you double click again, you will be going inside the Linux again. So that's how it's for now, how we are going to get our cursor out and inside the virtual box. So don't worry about this is not going to be the usual practice. Once the Oracle Linux is installed, we have something called VirtualBox guest editions. So once we install those packages inside the Linux operating system, we can easily exit, and I mean there will be only one cursor which or one mouse pointer which we can operate across the Windows and Linux. Okay, so double click and you'll get the right arrow now, and click on next. English, US English, the language options, basic type of device will your installation involve. So it's on basic storage devices. Click on next. So click on yes, discard any data. So don't worry that about the existing data on your hard drive, nothing will be erased. We have only pointed the 200 GB VDI file, so anything in the 200 GB VDI file which already exists, that will be erased. So practically there is nothing we have installed over the 200 GB VDI file. So click on yes, discard any data. So this won't harm anything. So the next step is to configure your host name. So I'm giving this as ODI apps.server. Okay, make sure you note down this name somewhere on your notepad because this is very crucial. So I hit right Control C to get my cursor back, and I open a notepad. Okay, I have given host name is equal to ODI apps.server. Okay, go inside the Linux again by double clicking and click on next. So here select your location. You can select it from the map, or you can click on the drop down and select it from here. So I'm going to use the map. I'm selecting Kolkata, Asia. Next, the root password. This is very important. Okay, make sure you will note this down as well. Under any circumstances, you should not forget this password, otherwise your installation and all what you have been doing becomes useless. Okay, click on next. Replace existing Linux system. Yeah, I don't mind, so click on next. Go and select write changes to disk. So now it's creating the ext file format for your 200 GB hard drive. Right, so it's done. So I'm going to install the basic server here. Okay, and click on customize now, because we will be needing some options which will help us to install the OBIA apps. So I'm going to walk you through what all we need. So hit customize now and next. So in the base system, select compatibility libraries and legacy Unix compatibility, networking tools, security tools, storage availability tools, okay. You don't need this. Next, coming to servers, we need system administration tools. Rest of them are not much necessary. Web services, we don't need any of them. Databases, we don't need them. System management, we need system management. Then let's enable web-based enterprise management. Virtualization, we don't need virtualization inside the Linux desktops. This is really important, so make sure you select all the options that you have under desktop. So this is going to enable the graphical user interface for your Linux installation. Okay, applications, we need an internet browser. Select on development tools. I don't need Eclipse. Desktop platform development, server platform development. Select these three. UVK kernel repository, it's already enabled. Languages, I don't need any support for any language. So that's it. So click on next. Make sure you carefully follow this options that are enabled, otherwise we are going to have problems installing the OBI apps, right? Make sure all the options in desktop are checked. Click on next. Now the installer will calibrate all the packages that needs to be installed on your Linux operating system, and then it will start the installation. Okay, sit back. So it's going to take a while to install everything. So after the install, you will be getting a reboot button in place of next here. So hold on. Hello friends, welcome back. So our installation is complete. So as I said, we will get the reboot button after the installation is completed. So hit on reboot. So the Linux is booting for the first time. So this is the welcome screen. So for the first time when you boot up your Linux installation, so it's going to ask you a few questions here. Click on forward and accept the license agreement. Again click on forward. Set up software updates. No, we will skip this step, so click on no and click on forward. And here it's important that you create additional user. So while before installing we have given the root password, so this is a separate user other than root which you are going to need in order to, so whatever installations that you do in the future in your Linux box, it's going to be with this user, it's not going to be with the root user. Okay, so it's compulsory to create a user. So I'm giving user as Oracle. OK, and make sure you note down whatever you're giving as usernames and passwords. Click on forward, take time, forward, enable kdump, you don't need it, so click on finish. Right, so this is the login page. So as you can see here, it has login with the user of Oracle. So click on what's happening. Okay, so just close this and click on Oracle and type in your password. Okay, so this is your Linux screen. So I just want to get comfortable with my mouse here. So as I mentioned earlier, we will need to install VirtualBox guest editions in order to get the seamless mouse integration across the Linux screen and our Windows machine screen. So to install the VirtualBox guest editions, so you will need the menu here. So for which that means you need to get out of the scale mode, and I think the option for scale mode is Control C. So you are out of scale mode. It has to be the right control and the C button. So click on devices. You can see install guest editions option in the last. Okay, click on that. Okay, so hit on always perform this action and click OK. Run. So in order to install this, you will need a root password. So type in your root password and authenticate. Okay, let me retype it. Yeah, it's too fast. Right, so it's installing now. So let me reiterate that the VirtualBox guest edition not only helps with your seamless mouse integration between your so you can observe the difference now. So previously what used to happen was you had to double click on the Linux machine and the cursor goes inside the screen and it never comes out. So in order to come out, you need to hit the right control and C button to come out like this. But now I have not pressed anything. Now I can seamlessly navigate between the Linux and the Windows operating system, and this is possible with the VirtualBox guest editions. So apart from that, what other things you will get with VirtualBox guest editions is that the integration, that is the shared folder access across the across your operating system. So suppose say I have some software files which I need to copy in my Linux operating system from Windows operating system. So one way to do that is to configure the network, and through your router you can copy and access your Windows machine and copy the files into your Linux. That is one way. And second way is to create a shared folder and then access that shared folder with inside your Linux using a special command called mount. Okay, so that mount command works only if this VirtualBox guest edition are installed. Okay, we will shortly see how we can use that mount command when we try copying the software from Windows machine to our Linux machine. Okay, so that's all for this video. So in this video we have installed the Linux operating system. Okay, we have performed the necessary steps in order to set up, and we have created the partition in our Windows operating system in order to that is nothing but creation of that VDI file which holds this whole Linux image inside it. Okay, and last we have install VirtualBox guest editions, which helps us the seamless mouse integration between the Windows and Linux operating systems, and also the shared folder support module. Right, so stay tuned for the next video. In the next video we will be configuring the network access to our Oracle VM, and also we will configure a static IP address so that the IP address doesn't change each time the Linux is booted up. That could cause a lot of issues for our installations. So yeah, so thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.